Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Review. This episode, I do want to start off by saying I was much more happy with. I was happier in this episode. They had a little more combat going on. It wasn't a whole lot of talking like I feel like last episode was, and I feel like this episode was a lot better than last week's pilot episode, and I think it should be the other way around, but I mean, I guess if you start on a lower pedestal and you work your way up, I guess you'll build more momentum that way, I don't know. But I think that this episode was much better than last week's episode for a multitude of reasons. That being said, let's get into it. This is a Kings of Television review brought to you by Derek D. Ginger King, a king of television. And this episode is episode 2 of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode title 084. Alright, so in 084, we got the teaser last week, about a call coming in about an 084. Coulson and Skye were talking, and we have an 084, we gotta go. And they go immediately to the airplane. And it's very, very good that they go from one episode to the next. I like that they left a cliffhanger last episode. It leaves you with questions, which means you want to answer those questions, and eventually you'll watch the next episode to get some answers. So I think that that's a really good thing that they did from last week, and this week it really worked out well, because an 084 is an object of unknown origin, and the last one that they found was a hammer, and he kind of says that that is the hammer of Thor. He kind of insinuates that. What other hammers are there? Hammer... I can't think of any, so... the hammer of Thor. So, this could be a really good find. So they go to the Incan dig site. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's their codename, AOS. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. arrive to retrieve the object. Throughout the episode, they discover that the object is a Tesseract-fueled weapon, and at the end we figure out that it was actually a Hydra weapon, long forgotten about in the 20s or something like that. And it's a weapon that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. want to get, and they don't want anyone in the world to have it. No one should have that kind of power, so their plan is to send it to an operation called Slingshot, which will rocket it straight to the sun, and it'll get destroyed. My thing, though, was if you send something like that to the sun, wouldn't it mess up the sun? I don't know. I don't know how much... Like, it's almost like they're dumping garbage into the sun. I don't think that's safe. But anyway. Whatever. So, they are at the Incan site, and the Peruvian military arrives, and one of Coulson's old hookups, I think it was Commander Reyes, maybe? It could have been like Commandant or something really Peruvian, but Commander Reyes shows up, and she is one of Coulson's old hookups, and they have a whole lot of history. They quickly get attacked by the rebels, and I'll talk a little bit more about the rebels and how these characters interact throughout this episode in just a minute. I'm just kind of going over the main story. So, they get attacked by these rebels, and Coulson and Commander Reyes and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. escape with the Tesseract weapon onto the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. airplane, and they get away. And then there's a lot of little talking points here, and I'll go over them later, but then the military betrays the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they take over the plane, and they have everybody tied up. They've got Coulson there to retrieve the sound, because they do change course, and obviously the main base is going to be like, well, hey, Agent Coulson, why are you changing course? So they need his voice to say, yeah, we're fine, it's okay. So that's what that is. And then in the back of the airplane, right by the ramp where they come in and out of the airplane, the cargo, they've got all the other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tied up. Is there nobody else on this ship? Is there nobody else? No other characters, just those 5 or 6 people. Because that's... I don't know, I think I'd have at least 4 or 5 other people. I mean, just randomly pressing buttons in the background, something. I don't know, but it appears that they are the only 7 people other than the military on this airplane. So, they are all tied up in the cargo bay, and Coulson has to okay it with the home base that, yeah, this is fine, nothing's going on, we're just changing course, everything's going to be fine, because if he doesn't, then Commander Reyes will jettison, basically, not only Lola will be ripped from the cargo, which I think is why Coulson did it, but Also, the other agents of the S.H.I.E.L.D. will also be ripped from the cargo hold and out into space, and they will find out what a 300,000-foot drop feels like. So I think that's why he stopped it, because he was like, damn it, I got the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in there, but more importantly, Lola. I need to protect Lola. Anyway, moving on with the review. The team starts to work together to regain control of the plane, and then they send the weapon to the sun. Now, I'm going to get into what really happened in this episode on a deeper level. That's the basic storyline of the episode and what happened with the 084. I want to talk about the characters. So let's start with Agent May. She was part of the cavalry, and she doesn't like combat. So from that, you get that the cavalry is some like SEAL Team 6 of the S.H.I.E.L.D. or something, and she's like a super robot or something, and she could just hurt people immediately. So I don't know. And there's this scene when they were trapped in the cargo hold where they're like, oh, you were part of the cavalry? Oh, perfect. We'll be fine then. Never mind. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to work. She's part of the cavalry. She'll just take care of it. So it's almost like she is a jack of all trades, and she is like an ace, and everybody else is there just tens of clubs. You know what I mean? There's a card reference. So I don't know. It's very interesting. So I like that, because last week I felt like I didn't really get anything off of the characters. I felt that the story was fine with the scorpion thing, but I didn't get really anything out of the characters. This week, we got a lot of stuff on the characters, and I want more of it. This is how you make a good show, when you see characters make decisions based on how their character is written. And I love dissecting that. So to me, I think that this was a better episode. Agent May, part of the cavalry, doesn't like combat. She was very irritated that she had to be pointing a gun at somebody. She was just brought on as the pilot, but here she is pointing guns at people and knocking them out and punching them and stuff, and she doesn't like that. So I'm really excited to get to a backstory of Agent May. Let's move ahead to Agent Ward. He hates the rebels of Peru. Not really specifically, but he hates the idea of rebellion. He hates working with people. He just wants to go in, get the job done. And all throughout this episode, this whole team of different people. I mean, we've got Fitzsimmons, the scientist, Sky, the antisocial no one, Agent Ward, the American superhero who just doesn't want to be with anybody, and then Agent May, who's a disturbed robot of sorts. Like, and they don't want to work together because their characters don't work with anybody. But when they start to work together, they work out great. And at the end of the episode, they're forced to. And so I thought that was another really good thing about the episode. My thing is that maybe they should have done this in episode 1. I don't know. The pilot episode kind of felt like a preview episode, really. And the preview episode shouldn't have existed. So I think that this is what they should have done in episode 1. Make them band together, because it would have been a stronger pilot. And, okay, so the ratings were like 12.6 million viewers for the pilot. It dropped to 8.6. You've lost 4 million people. I don't think it would have dropped that much if you had this as the pilot and you introduced the characters here. I think it would have been a much better thing to do. Anyway, moving on. So Agent Ward doesn't like rebellions or rebels. He is more of a government guy. He just wants to get the job done. He doesn't like the idea of rebels overthrowing the government, and he has a lot of conversations with Sky, who's the next person I want to talk about. And she views the rebellion as an inspiration, and one of her things is Twitter, because she thinks that people who don't even know other people are banding together to stop something that they think is corrupt. It's a beautiful thing. She thinks the best of people, and Agent Ward thinks the worst of people. And I kind of incline to agree with Agent Ward. I don't think rebellion, especially against the Peru, it depends on what the atrocity is, for me, really, but I don't know, I tend to agree with Agent Ward. I just don't think that rebels are usually in it for the good cause. Sky is inspired, and there was also this, like, energy between the two, like, Sky and Agent Ward are gonna get together somehow, but they're so opposite. Is this one of those that they're gonna force the two opposite end, or the two same ends of a magnet together, and they just can't get together? What's gonna happen here? Because it seems like they're building to a season finale where Sky and Agent Ward finally kiss or something like that. So that'll be interesting. I guess. I mean, it is interesting to me as a TV viewer, but not really so to me personally. I'm not really good. I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the combat and for the cool gizmos. And there was a cool gizmo in this episode, actually. It was like a staff. It was alright, pretty cool. So, let's move on to Fitz and Simmons. Fitzsimmons, not much history from them in this episode. They say that they regret signing up for the project a couple of times, but I want to hear a little more about it. Why do they regret that? Why did Coulson say you're actually a rocket scientist? Like, what does that have to do with anything? I want to find out more about Fitz and Simmons, because right now they're fun characters, but you still need to. Most TV shows will kill off a funny character, and since it's Fitz and Simmons, there's two people, you can lose one and basically hold the same amount of lines and same amount of funny. So if you get rid of one of the Fitz or Simmons in future episodes, it's gonna really irritate your crowd in a good way, and they're gonna be talking about your show, and it's a good thing to do. But people aren't gonna care unless you give them a history of Fitz and Simmons to care about, or if Fitz and Simmons hook up and they become an item and they become dating or something like that. You have to do something with Fitz and Simmons to make me care about them. I think they're funny, I like them, and if they died I'd be a little sad, but you need to make it really sad. You need to make these people care about Fitz and Simmons, so I want a little more history from them out of this show. Alright, so now we got Coulson. Coulson, there's more teases about his death in abbreviation marks here, and I don't know, it's still one of the biggest questions about this show. Is he dead? Is he a robot? What is Coulson? Is he the real Coulson, and the one that got stabbed is the fake one? Like, what is going on here? I want to know more about it. He showed at one point that his team might not be able to get the job done. Yes, as Commander Reyes was having the plane be held in her own power, the team was trying to work together to get the job done to retake it and stop Commander Reyes. And Coulson, at one point, unties his hands. And when the team just barely figures out how to do it, he reties his hands up. At least that's what I thought. That's what I thought out of the episode. So, it showed a little bit of doubt in his team, but then at the end of the episode, no doubt to be shown because they got the job done. So I don't know if that's what that was all about. So, I don't know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, so now, questions of this episode. What is the cavalry? That's what I want to know about. I want to know what the cavalry is. Agent May's cavalry ties are really interesting to me. Are Skye and Ward going to hook up? That's probably a really popular one. And what about the Fitzsimmons history? I want to see more of that. So overall, a better episode than last week. I don't remember what I gave it last week as a score, but this week I'm going to give it an 8. I thought I was entertained. There was plenty of action, a pretty good story, and you gave us a lot of history on the characters, and that's what you need to do. That being said, that ends this Kings of Wrestling. I just said Kings of Wrestling. I'm such an idiot. I love wrestling, though. Kings of Television review show. I am Derek D. Ginger King. Make sure that you check out all of my other reviews. I got Sleepy Hollow, Dancing with the Stars, Survivor, not the Blacklist, but I do like the Blacklist. Once Upon a Time, all sorts of things. Or if you're a gamer, or your son is a gamer, and you don't mind me saying damn, hell, or ass, I'm also a gamer. He might like games. I like games, and you can send him on my games side of things. Either way, there's the links. Thank you for watching. I am Derek D. Ginger King. Checking out.